We're not trying to profit off the companies that are coming through. That's why it comes back to our value of being founders first, right? So it's just a different approach to things. We are also owned, just happen to be owned by a university in Toronto, right? So that's one of the things. We don't service students only. We do support students in different programs, but again, our ethos, our why, kind of our reason for existence is kind of a bit more aligned to a nonprofit entity as well to some extent, but trying to build impact, economic impact for different communities.
Great, thank you. One more question.
Hi, I'm Guy. In times of macroeconomic challenges and increased risk adversity, what are the main challenges and trade-offs that you see founders needing to make on this time, and how does these programs might help them to navigate these challenges?
Well, let me go down. Melissa, go.
Well, there's the obvious investment that we make, and I think having that extra cash to extend runway is definitely helpful for our founders. I think some of the challenges that founders face, especially during times of macroeconomic constriction, right, is how they're thinking about their round dynamics. When do I launch my round? How do I fundraise? What are the terms that I'm shooting for? Do I want to do a price round? Do I want to raise on safe notes? Am I ready to raise? Do we need to, how we think about managing our burn? So it's like, do you want to go faster, hit more milestones to raise, but then your runway to raise is shorter? And really what it comes down to for our founders, at least we think, is scenario planning. So making sure that they understand the key levers that are going to drive or potentially stall their business, and that they have enough of an ear to the market, specifically the market meaning their customer base, and also looking at the macroeconomic environment, and they can sort of pull and push those levers to see where do we accelerate and where do we have to take maybe a more fiscally conservative approach so we can make it through a relatively drier season in terms of capital deployment and still come out on the other end as a company that's still fully formed.
Let me use an American reference here. Being a founder is like being a Top Gun pilot, right? There's a lot of turbulence along the way. There's going to be ups and downs. And to Melissa's point, scenario planning is going to be very important to do that, so that you're at least prepared to some extent when you get punched in the face, what to do, right? Like you gotta have something in mind. And there's all the other things that kind of play into it as well. I think one of the big things that line up in this case is the fact that you got to learn how to do fewer things better. Sometimes as founders, ambition is a huge thing. And this is obviously where accelerator programs get you to focus in a bit more and be intentional on quality and focus. But fewer things better is not a bad thing to do. And that's kind of where you're seeing a lot of realignment for some of the big tech companies as they're shifting through these uncertain times. The layoffs are happening and everything else. It doesn't mean that the company is going to die necessarily, but they're trying to do fewer things better. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that as you're building a startup as well.
Once again, ditto, but what they said. But when being a part of a accelerator leading during times of uncertainty is really important to be a part of a company like EY or these groups, because they've been there through these rough times. They've been through, the downturns. And so it's about learning when to double up or double down. And I think you can learn from the experience of those who are guiding you, the mentors that they align you with, are extreme executives who have been through that. And so it's nice to get the advice from people who've gone through it.
For me, being in the Caribbean, you've never heard of a Caribbean-based startup that's raised $10 million, bought a bunch of foosball tables and started serving lunch and throwing ridiculous parties, because there's not capital flowing like that in the region, right? Unfortunately, there's a lack of risk-tolerant capital in the region. So the macro environment, I don't think, changes the situation for pre-seed and seed stage founders right now. Hopefully we get to a point where that's different, but for now it's, most of the founders that I come across are bootstrapping, or they're working a day job and working on their startup at night. So it's, the grind, the struggle is already kind of built into it. And so it doesn't change because the stock market is down, right?
That's it. That's all, folks. I just want, before we go, and I want to thank this great panel, you need to be intentional, whether it's virtual or hybrid. You need to be intentional to take advantage of these programs, all the talent, all the networking. It's really up to you in the end. They could only do so much, and they're going to do a great job. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to take advantage of the resources that are provided. So thanks again, panel.
James, can I just say one thing before we go?
Go ahead,
This is
go
off
ahead.
topic completely.
Go ahead.
Kirk came up yesterday and Kyle's been talking as well that this is about building network, learning, and partying, right? That's one of the things that they said. I know they're probably not even in the room right now because they're probably busy doing some shit outside, but I just got to say thank you. Who's here? I just want to say this. This takes a lot of guts to try to build out, with a lot of uncomfort in a new environment and in a city that's not yours, to bring people together, to make access to opportunities that don't actually exist otherwise. This room would have never connected in a million years hadn't it been for Kyle and Kirk. It's an observation that's so important because what they're doing in Miami, what they're doing in Jamaica, what they're doing in Bermuda is next to none. So congratulations to you two and your team, the whole team that's making this come together. So thank you.
Thank you. Amen. All right. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. I don't know how we're going to be able to top that exit, Zula. That was incredible. Thank you. Maybe with a selfie, Kyle. I don't know if you're at. But it is my pleasure to continue the agenda. And today we are focusing on those partnerships and collaborations between different sectors. So I am going to bring up Anupam Govil, managing partner at Avasant, and the panel that he is moderating on enterprise level collaboration, where we have Neka Ukpai, head of financial innovation at Better, Alex Santana, startup BD at Venture Capital Manager, and my new friend, David Pulliam, VP of Business Development and Partnerships at Capital Connect JP Morgan.
Thank you. How's everyone doing? All right, nice to meet you, Danielle. I wasn't sure if you had made it. There you are. So we have a very interesting panel today, which kind of takes a lot of what we've been talking about last day and a half, pulled it together. One of the biggest challenges that startups, early stage companies have is market access, credibility, scaling, right? And that's a critical gap that can be filled if you do it the right way by collaborating, partnering with large enterprises, and maybe even raising some strategic money, right? So today we're going to talk about that, get the viewpoint both from the corporate side as well as from a couple of earlier stage companies that are benefiting from that. I'll start with a little bit of my background and have my panelists talk about theirs and who they are with and what their role is. So best way to sum up my background is I've been all over the map. So I'm a technologist by my education. I've done everything from hard coding, technical stuff, to venture capital, startups. I've done M&A, I've done globalization work. Right now, what I do, of course, is I'm a managing partner with Avasant, which is a global management consulting firm. We're like the navigators for the digital economy for large companies. But on my other side, my other hat, I also do a lot of startup entrepreneurial activity, and that's what keeps me energized. So, Nika, how about you?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell because no one said good afternoon back. Good afternoon, everyone.
Let me turn the mic on. That would help, right?
That would help.
There you go.
Testing. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neko Pai. I'm the head of financial innovation at a fintech unicorn. All that means is that I design and build new fintech products for the company. In addition to that, I'm a 2-time founder. I co-founded one of the most popular dating apps in Brazil, at least according to Forbes. And I co-founded an early stage fintech that's based in DC. When I'm not doing either of those things, I'm also an avid angel investor. I've invested in about 40 startups so far, and I've helped syndicate and close rounds for many, many more. So I have a lot of thoughts on this subject. Very excited to be here with you all today.
All right, right. David?
Yes, thank you. And it's hard to follow that, but I'll try. I'm David Pulliam. I like to say I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philly comes with me everywhere I go. Currently sitting on the investment bank in JP Morgan on the Capital Connect team, which is a new digital ecosystem that's matching entrepreneurs and founders. We realized that our private clients want to get in on a private market action, and but JP Morgan has the best proprietary data, to make these connections and benchmarking. Before joining JP Morgan, I had a stint at Coinbase. I was knee deep in the Web3 space. And before that, I was at Amazon across operations, retail, and strategic social impact, building out the Black Business Accelerator. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Great, Michael. Thanks again for the invite to Kirk and the team here. It's great to be here. Michael Dersham, aka Dersh, as most people in business and even my wife knows me. Serial entrepreneur, been building companies in the greater healthcare and pharma space my entire career, so 25 plus years. Everything from operations, distribution companies. I was one of the first movers to put doctors and nurse practitioners in Walmarts and CVS's and grocery stores when everybody thought that was nuts. But now, kind of, ironically, that's where we got our jabs and our tests, during COVID. I was also the founding CEO of the hepatitis C company that we brought out of Emory University that led to the discoveries of the drugs Harvoni and Sovaldi that, for all intents and purposes, have eradicated hepatitis C. And now, as the CEO and founder of MAPay, a global healthcare fintech company, we thought we would take on the $10.2 trillion of dysfunctional healthcare spend and lack of data across the globe. Thank you.
See.
Okay, hello. First, I am not Danny Bedoya, as you can see. I'm Alex Santana, but we're also part of the same team. We work for Amazon Web Services Startups, which basically it's the area, and here we are with a proud ex-Amazonian as well, supporting startups and the whole Latin American ecosystem through partnerships and programs in order to keep the trace of everything that is happening in regards of creating community and creating technology. Before that, I was a 3-time founder, none of them successful, hence I'm here.
That's the common story.
Yeah.
Common theme.
And also, I helped to run a couple of accelerators and VCs entering into the Latin American market. I am Colombian, living in Mexico City, and trying to connect the whole Latin America region as a whole, because we desperately need to have that. We need to be cohesive. We need to think of ourselves as a whole, like group, community. And right now we are doing this with the cloud services provider, but also we want to have like this strategy of go beyond technology, which is why I'm here to talk more about.
Right. So we live in an age of what I call unbridled entrepreneurship. It's never been easier to start a company. Ironically, it's also the toughest time to be an entrepreneur because there's so many of you out there, right? So how do you stand out? How do you grow? How do you get access to markets? How do you differentiate? So those are some of the tough challenges that entrepreneurs have to solve, right? So interestingly enough, the amount of corporate venture capital has been growing significantly. It's gone in the last 5 years about 2x. Last year, 2021 was one of the highest amount of venture capital going into the tech startup community. Also within the region, the LAC region, Latin American Caribbean, the statistics show 4 years ago or 5 years ago, there's only 5 unicorns, and today there are almost 50 unicorns. So definitely there's a lot happening in this region. And so I think we'll focus, of course, in general on enterprise collaboration, but also on what's happening in the region, right? So let me start with the first question about, how large companies are obviously seeing a lot of headwinds because of market turbulence and shifting consumer demands, and they need to look outside their corporate walls to drive innovation, to bring innovation into their organization, right? And that's where they look at partnering with other innovative companies, startups, and so on, right? So what is your strategy around or objectives around working with early stage companies? How does that serve your corporate goals?
Sure, I can kick us off. So I'm at Better. Better originates digital mortgages and also consumer loan products that are adjacent to homeownership. And so when I think about innovation, I think about ways that we can make our customers' lives easier, just to be very simple and plain. Any technology that can make it cheaper, faster, and simpler to close a mortgage is a company that I would be interested in looking at. And I look at innovation in terms of the 3 arcs of growth: very plain vanilla McKinsey's 3 arcs. You have that first arc, which is the core, what you do day in and day out, your bread and butter, how you make money. Investing and innovating on how you can do that faster and smarter is always going to be value accretive to a business. That second arc is, sort of technologies or services that very easily supplement your core offering. So for example, at Better, we do digital mortgages. One day we decided, makes sense. Maybe we should do homeowners insurance policy, and we entered into insurance that easily. We did so via partnership. And then that third arc of growth, future bets, moonshots,